The only time I'm able to speak is, I suppose, when I sing. I was asked to tell a story today that puts me in a very difficult situation because I seldom speak. The only person that speaks well is my wife. So she does most of the talking and I do the listening. And probably I spend most of the time acting out what she says. We are here today, brought together. As we know, South Africa has expanded from what it used to be. Now, I didn't know what to say when I came here this evening. But instantly a comrade of mine came through the door and he sat next to me. Certain things started happening to me. Certain things I'd like to share with you, but probably you wouldn't understand them. It took me right back into the past. You know, as we were coming here this evening, I said to my wife, I remember at some point, I could only come to this side of town as a caddy. And here am I, today I have to come and talk to people in this very area, areas into which I wasn't able to walk into. I could see from a distance with a golf bag on my shoulder, no shoes on my feet, a tattered jacket, and probably with nothing in my belly that morning. There's a golf course right up here, it's called Harry Park. I suppose this is one of the stories that I'd like to talk about today. I'll leave the most heavy stuff that I was talking about to a comrade of mine, and when I say comrade, I mean comrade. Because we have walked, how can one say, the most difficult route that is normally put in front of men. Very few men walk that route and come back. Of a group of us that belong to the same fraternity, I can count on my hands, there's probably about less than 10 that came back from there. There's a saying, to hell and back. We have experienced it. I'm talking about Comrade McBride. We were probably 5 of 20 that came out of there alive. Death row. A place where the world and life ceases to exist. You live within yourself. You live within your thoughts. There are people, but there is no one around you. But only how you feel. And the little baby that you're carrying, after which this tour was named, Liberation, that you have to keep cradling in that lonely cell, where every second day trapdoors fall, and you know somebody's gone and is coming back, and you might be the next. You see South Africa today, and you see us talking today. Probably we can't talk because we failed. all we did, we were full of love. To such an extent that we were able to give it away. But they didn't want to take it. I suppose that's why we're here telling you about it. People say that was the most harrowing times of our lives. We say no, it wasn't. It was the most joyous of our times. Because for the first time in our lives, we had to give something that few people are privileged to give: your life. For one face, that's en masse. Freedom for the downtrodden. Names that are written in your heart, every single one of them, even though there were no faces in front of you. So, the journey that we have traveled, I'm saying we because I was not the only one. A number of us were privileged to travel that journey. Transform a world. And you didn't have to pay a lot to transform a world. Just pass yourself off as a corpse. Know that the next minute you might be dead. And you would have lived 1,000 years in 1 or 20 years. Today, even though we still say it could be better, we look at the world around us and we say, for the grace of God. We were sent by a hand unseen. We agreed. We slept in the mountains, went for days without food. The only food that was in our belly was the love that was driving us. Freedom. Freedom. Not for me, not for him, but for those that were in the country and those that were yet to be born. We had seen an ugly face of humanity, which fortunately we'd been appointed surgeons to fix. We probably wouldn't be able to live to enjoy what it would look like finally. But we didn't want generations that followed to see that distorted, ugly face of prejudice. Where you had 13% of a people actually it's not 13%, occupying 30% of a surface area, whereas the majority was occupying 87%. They had so much they didn't even know what to do with it. So it becomes very difficult for us to start telling stories because we are more your mechanics. We are the spanner boys. We don't talk. We just take out the wheel, replace the necessary part. So if you don't find me an interesting storyteller, I wouldn't blame you for that. I'd rather invite you to come and see me do things, because I do. I'm not accustomed to talking. A lot of talking has been done, We're still talking today as human beings. Our struggle is still continuing today. I was looking at Australia, disaster of biblical proportions. Those that have a way with words said. What was heartrending was to see our own creation swept by forces of nature and reduced to nothing. Here were these people driving in cars, but these cars were swept by water. They couldn't get out of that water. Houses were flooded. People had to run away from what man has built. I looked at Brazil. People were running away from their own creation. Coming back into South Africa. Throughout the world, whatever we have created is coming to bite us. So, the next story for us is to try and make sure that there is a world for the next coming generation. And how do we do that? Not by shooting at each other, we've already done that, but not by trying to take away or try and get everyone to share what is obviously everyone, belongs to everyone. But some think it is theirs only. That part we can sort out later. Because if we don't fight the coming war, which is around climate change, global warming, there won't be any point. Even as us talking now, there'd be no point really. Unfortunately this time, we seem to be up against a force mightier than man. At least the first few days say so. Run up to that, your very place that you have built. We're on the ground, they couldn't move. The whole of Europe was snow white. People had to sleep on apples. Once again, we are being reminded. We've been unkind to each other, but we can't be unkind to what is containing us. So, the story that I'd like you to take is not my personal story. That's nothing. The most important story that I want each and every one of us to take today is to swell the ranks of a bigger revolution ever fought by man against climate change. What is it that makes us to be in this position? Who are the people who are... There must be someone that's responsible for everything that's happening. Let's find that one. That's the person that we have to go after. Now that goes across religion, that goes across ideology. I don't have to be working class to understand that the next generation may have no future. And even those that are raping the earth, responsible for the calamity that's facing us right now, maybe they have a ship somewhere. What do they call it? These arcs that they build. Yeah, they are building them somewhere to be able to run to other planets. But for goodness sake, let's not allow them to do that. And I'm sure Some of us don't have a seat on that plan, on the ship or whatever the plan. So, our next important war, even better than the economic wars that we've been fighting, is to make sure that we save the planet. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.